Yeah, so I actually got involved in cannabis policy in law school at Ohio State. My last year of law school, I was taking a marijuana law and policy course. And while I was taking this course, I was also reading Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. In her book, The New Jim Crow, Michelle Alexander has this one quote that really stuck with me throughout my career and really propelled me into cannabis policy reform. She stated that nothing has contributed more to the systematic mass incarceration of people of color in the United States than the war on drugs. And while I was taking that marijuana law and policy course, I began to learn how much of the war on drugs was for marijuana and how much of just the marijuana arrests were for possession. And so that understanding over time is part of what led me to want to do cannabis policy reform work. Had an opportunity to move from Ohio to California to work on the legalization campaign in California in 2016. Served as the campaign coordinator for Californians for Responsible Marijuana Reform. And after the state of California passed Proposition 64, I stayed on with the Drug Policy Alliance and was serving as a policy coordinator. My work as a policy coordinator was mostly situated in the city of Los Angeles. I was doing a lot of work with stakeholders, faith-based organizations, community organizations, entrepreneurs in the space. And at the time, the city of Los Angeles did not have any infrastructure to regulate even medical cannabis activity. I think that's part of what folks forget when we kind of zoom out and try and compare California to other states, is that many other states had regulatory programs for their medical operations, and the state of California was trying to both regulate medical and adult use at the same time, and it had a dual licensure process, meaning that businesses were going to need to be licensed both from the state of California and the local jurisdiction in which they operated. And the city of Los Angeles at the time was regarded as the world's largest cannabis market. So I spent a lot of time asking city leaders what their plans were for trying to get the city of Los Angeles to get its act together. We're doing something that hadn't been done before, and I knew that it was going to be controversial. I knew that it would be contentious. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I also didn't know it was going to be as difficult as it actually was. But all in all, despite how difficult of a process I think it was for many different stakeholders involved, entrepreneurs, politicians, the city as a whole, it was worthwhile, in part because I knew that I would have an opportunity to frame this conversation, and I think framing it is one of the most important parts. And part of what I wanted to do in framing this conversation on behalf of the city of Los Angeles is trying to figure out how we have an equity-centered approach. And that's important for me, again, because of my understanding of the impact that cannabis prohibition has had, particularly on Black and brown communities. And when I stepped into the role as executive director for the city of Los Angeles, I was also doing so as the first person of color who was leading medical and adult use program in the country. And so it was really important for me to be able to utilize this role to elevate conversations about the communities that I serve and that I'm a part of. I came in with pretty ambitious and lofty goals. I made a lot of promises, and that's because I truly believed that I could get all of those things done. I wanted to get all of those things done. I've learned over time how important it is for there to be collective leadership, right? There's so many different stakeholders who are involved in ensuring that cannabis market is responsible and equitable, from policymakers at the local level, city council members, to agency heads and agency staff, elected officials, and it was a process. It was a learning process, I think, for everyone. I try to take it one day at a time and to empower my staff to do their jobs, and stepping back, coming back to see the department after a year. I'm really proud of the work that I started with the city, that my staff have been able to continue, but it's a process, and I know that they still need a lot of support. Operators still need a lot of support. There's still a real need for politicians and electeds to understand how the laws that they pass impact people. I think that there's a real disconnect still, but I know that there are folks here in the city of Los Angeles that are committed to moving that conversation forward. And that's part of what allowed me to be able to step away and pursue other things that are equally important to me.